welcome to today's session and the official launch of Agnitio Live, our brand new remote detailing solution. We are incredibly excited to have you all here. We have really looked forward to showcasing what we've been working on for some time. With me today, I have, as you can see here, David Keane, who is the Agnitio CEO and also the Bigtincan Group CEO and co-founder. Also, I have Martin Fredriksson, who is the Vice President of Development at Agnitio and really the mastermind behind the development of Agnitio Live. In a second, David will kickstart today's 30-minute session. Please note that you have in front of you also a control panel. In there, in the questions or in the chat, you can send messages to us. So if you have any questions, you can share those throughout the presentation. And by the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A where we are going to respond the best we can as time permits. So that's it from me. So now over to you, David.
Thank you, Mads, and yes, thank you all for attending today's Agnitio Live launch event. My name is David Keane, the CEO and co-founder of Bigtincan and CEO of Agnitio AS. And on behalf of the entire team at Bigtincan, we're really pleased that you are here joining us today. Bigtincan is a cloud-based SaaS or software as a service company that makes the tools used by hundreds of the world's leading companies to empower their customer-facing teams to be more productive and more successful in this digital and mobile economy. We're a global company with customers in more than 50 countries and team members across the globe. So let's get started. Today you'll hear about and see Agnitio Live, which is a product that we've been working on for a while. And I believe today you'll see that it is designed to specifically assist life sciences companies to connect with their customers more effectively in the pandemic and beyond. Let's start with what's happening in our economy. You know, the ongoing digitization of our world is creating new ways of interacting between buyers and sellers, and really any customer-facing person. You know, buyers are becoming more prepared and more informed before they engage with a seller. And this has led to the buyer-seller journey being accelerated. And those interactions are becoming faster and more complex than ever before. So to be successful in the new economy, we need to focus on enabling each person to be better prepared and more informed before they engage with this smarter and more informed buyer. And the business, that's the marketers, management, operations, and yes, leadership, need more insight into what's happening in this more and more remote world. So there's a real need, and I could say opportunity, to assist in that connection between buyers and sellers. And that's really at the heart of what we're calling now today the new economy. And on the next slide, I think one of the things that is important to understand is if we recognize this change and we believe that the economy won't be the same, no matter what happens with, ways of treating the virus, I think it's important to understand the 4 areas that we believe Bigtincan can play a pretty important role in. And we know that to build that solution, we need to have that comprehensive product set, that complete set of capabilities that helps to connect those buyers and sellers better together. And it all starts with our content system. Bigtincan and Agnitio provide a unified mobile and remote content management and control system. And this is a technology we've been pioneering here at Bigtincan for more than 10 years. But we know that content alone is not enough. And when we add skills development, training, and coaching built into that framework, we can help every person be more effective in how they work with their customers. And we also add document automation, so the ability to be able to automate the creation and delivery of content, and that helps with governance and content control. But at the end of the day, we believe the future of our market is going to be driven by the power of data science. We know that using the data from those engagements, we're able to make recommendations, provide guidance, and help every human being to perform better in their daily job. And we call that our Bigtincan Genie data science family. And while today is not focused on the Genie, what you will see is that data science view is really important for the future of our business going forward. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you, Mads. So remote. Obviously remote is a core strategy of Bigtincan, and we believe it is something that is going to have ongoing impact in our world. And at Bigtincan, our strategy is a combination of providing integrations into existing meeting platform technology. In fact, just back in November last year, Microsoft announced that Bigtincan was being included in the launch of their add-ons capability for the Microsoft Teams platform. So users using the Microsoft Teams system can now plug in directly into Bigtincan technology. But we also know that particularly in areas like life sciences, there is a need for a specific technology set that understands and is tailor-made for how life sciences organizations work. And today you'll hear about Agnitio Live, which has been designed from the ground up to meet those very specific needs that life sciences companies have. Let's go to the next one. Thanks, Mads. So Agnitio. Agnitio is Bigtincan's life sciences focused business unit. We work with pharmaceutical, medical technology companies around the world. We work with both large global multinationals as well as smaller companies looking to bring a new product to market. We also work with life sciences digital agencies who create some of the content that our customers use. And at Agnitio, we tie all that together with a unified platform that helps our customers ensure that they have access to the right materials and they can present them in the right way with the levels of governance and control that life sciences needs. And we have an extensive, experienced team that works with life sciences companies all around the world to solve those problems. So, having introduced Agnitio to you, I'm now really pleased to hand over to Mads to talk you through more about why we're doing this announcement of Agnitio Live. Thank you, Mads.
Thanks a lot, David. Yeah, thanks for sharing. The overall vision behind the investments that we're making into remote engagement and remote capabilities. So what I'll do now is that I'll zoom in on the life sciences, as Dave was saying, and remote HCP engagements in specific. As David was mentioning, so the Agnitio business unit, and Agnitio is 100% life science focused and part of the Bigtincan family. So let's start out by taking the temperature on remote engagement in the life sciences, both now but also beyond the current situation. So if we look at engagement on Agnitio platforms, Agnitio technologies, you can see this trend. There was a big drop when COVID happened, but now we also see a massive lift in remote and other types of digital engagement forms. So a gradual shift towards this and an acceleration of, you could say, this more diverse digital omni-channel approach. Secondly, to kind of support that. So one thing is how it looks right now, which is probably not that surprising. Another thing is how is it going to look, a couple of years from now? What's the trend? And we recently ran an expert webinar to explore remote engagement practices in the life sciences. In that, we asked attendees from more than 100 different pharma and medtech companies about their expectations for future investments. And practically, as you can see here, all of them saw investments in remote engagement would increase or increase substantially even after the current situation. So that kind of, leads the way for remote engagement as a practice as such. Before we present Agnitio Live, let me share a brief overview here of remote engagement methodologies in the life sciences. So we engage remotely digitally. We've done that a lot during the pandemic, but it really goes from pretty standard telemeetings, from simple text messages on WeChat or WhatsApp or Messenger into emails, but also more advanced video conferencing tools that almost everyone realized, during the pandemic, that it was the quick fix and the way to stay in touch in a personal way. So these are brilliant video conferencing technologies and tools, and they're great for staying connected in a personal way. But they also come with certain limitations. So how do you ensure compliance, which is very important to the life sciences companies, that your reps show the right and the most up-to-date materials? How do you help your reps deliver powerful presentations and engagements, so that they keep providing value to the healthcare professionals that are challenged with the limited time, and thus reps also have limited access. And how do you make use of all the data that your remote engagements are providing? Remote detailing helps really fill this gap for companies that need this level of control and that want to provide their customers with a valuable experience every time they engage. Otherwise, they simply won't get access. Today, we are very excited to be launching Agnitio Live. We've delivered a remote detailing through our Rainmaker multi-channel suite, which you may be familiar with. That's used by reps on tablet devices. Live, on the other hand, is a browser-based remote e-detailing platform that can be used either standalone or as part of a omni-channel engagement strategy. It was designed to deliver compliant, compelling remote engagement, remote detailing with the personalization of video, so building on the benefits that we know from Zoom and Teams and what have you, and the simplicity of the cloud. So Martin is going to take us and deep dive into that within Live in a second. So the last thing before handing over to Martin, I really wanted to tell you about one of the typical use cases for our remote detailing technologies. So here's a recent case study. One of the leaders within diabetes, Novo Nordisk, lacked awareness and reach in the unit in Mexico. They didn't have their own sales force in place to cover all of this vast area. So they hired in an external sales partner that was specialized in digital and remote engagement with HCPs. They were then educated and trained to carry out high-level product presentations. And what they then do, they reach out to HCPs and engage, typically via WhatsApp or the phone or even a video conference. And within 40 seconds from that, they can use a short link to transfer this into a remote detailing presentation. So that enables them to present Novo Nordisk's products in a professional and a convincing way. And at the same time, tracking everything that takes place inside those engagements and obviously feeding back into Novo and their partners. The results, as you can see here, have been pretty remarkable. So 92% of HCPs are so pleased that they'll recommend the service to their peers. The reps are rated 4.8 out of 5, which really emphasizes the value and the customer experience that they are providing. And most importantly, 53% of the HCPs have an intention of prescribing Novo's medicines to at least one patient in the following 30 days. So that kind of speaks for itself and the potential value that this can drive. Now, what I'll do is that I'll pass it on to Martin to demonstrate Agnitio Live in action and how a reps live might look like with Agnitio Live. So over to you, Martin.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mads. Before we go into, I think, Mads, you need to go to the next slide, please. So before we dive into the demo, I just wanted to highlight some of the things that makes the live product unique and special. So the first thing is that there is no need for any download of any plugins. You use the browser and it works on PCs, Macs, tablets, and mobile devices. It's fully fledged. And also, it's not a screen sharing tool. So you don't risk suddenly sharing something that's popping up on your screen. It's under control. We only share the content, and that's the only thing that will be shown to the participants. And also, it's compliant content, which means that you can ensure that your sales reps are using the latest version of your content. They're not using last year's PowerPoint or something that they put together themselves. They're using the compliant, approved content that you have put into the system. We also have a very detailed data tracking, and I'll show that in the demo. But we can actually, right now we support 25 participants with the full video and audio, and we can track individually on each participant on a very detailed level, which I think is very, very interesting. So what is Agnitio Live? We call it an interactive co-browsing tool. So co-browsing is a terminology where I, as a presenter, can control what the participants are seeing. But we have added some extra to it, which is the interactive part, because we can have the participants send data back to us, and we can see that real time. So this is actually a true bidirectional communication tool. We have video, audio, and the real-time data tracking that enables you to tailor your presentation, so you can actually get the feedback and adjust your communication directly in the call while you are doing it. So without any hesitation, I think, Mads, if you could make me the presenter, I will see if we can get the screen shared here.
There you go.
Yes.
And we're just gonna turn off our cameras so people can
yes. Save up some bandwidth here. So what you see here is the main planning tool that the sales rep will be using on a daily basis. So what you see here are the activities that has been planned. The tools or the tool supports CRM integration. So these calls could be created from or come from a CRM system, or they could be created by the sales rep himself. And talking about the compliance, if I go to the contents tab, this is the content that I have. I can't use any other content than this. This is the approved content. So there's no risk of using content that has not been approved. And these are the contacts that I actually have in my portfolio right now that I can invite for my call. But if we go back to the calls tab, I can go in and edit my call a little bit before I launch it. So, sorry for that. Right now, I have invited Mads, myself, and a colleague to the meeting, but I could actually change it and say, listen, I found out these two people have been swapped. They're not supposed to be there. The time maybe is wrong, so I change the time. Maybe I decide that this time I'm not going to show the PDF. I'm only going to show HTML. We also support PowerPoint and other formats, spreadsheets and stuff like that. But this time I decided I'm going to do HTML only. That's what it's needed for this call. I then get to an overview where I can see the people that will get an email of the change of the time. So if I click on this small symbol here, I can actually see what the email that they will be receiving will look like. It's fully customizable, so you can brand it any way you want to. You can remove stuff, and you can even have multiple templates. So you have one set of templates for one set of users and another set of templates for other users. So we could see here that Mads is informed that the call has been changed. I'm informed that I've been removed from the call. And Casper is informed that he's added to the call. So now I'm ready, and I can send out the notification, and everybody is now that is in the call is now getting informed. I'm ready. I can see that I am ready to launch my call. Before I do that, I might want to look at some of the details of the call. So here I can see a little bit more. We call this a personalized link, short link. So this makes it easier if people are not receiving the email to actually go in and join a call. You just give them the small information at after the agn.to, and they're actually able to join a call. So I'm just gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna start the call in 2 seconds. But first, before I do that, I'm gonna show you what it looks like when Casper is joining the call before I do. So he's gonna see this small page, call is starting, but she's waiting for the presenter. As soon as I start the call, sorry, that was the wrong button. As soon as I start my call here, the page will switch, and the participants can now see that the call has started, but they're waiting for the presenter to show something. So I haven't really started broadcasting my content yet, but I'm going to do that now. And as soon as I do that, all the participants can actually see what I'm sharing here. I have the ability to turn on my video, and the participant can do the same. So they're actually seeing me right now. But so maybe that's a bit too much. I'm going to turn off my own camera here. But yeah, and now my colleague joined. So I have invited Daniel to join. He has the pleasure today of being one of the doctors in the call, and he's going to show us some of the data tracking that we can do in the call. So while I am showing this, I'll just demo very quickly how it looks like for Casper, and Casper has joined over here. So Casper will see that I'm able to, I can switch pages or go through the presentation, and Casper is able to answer back the questions here. And you see, as soon as Casper is releasing the button, his data is coming up here, so I'm actually able to get his reply back. I can also do that with Daniel. So just for the sake of it, to show a little bit more info here, I'm gonna have Daniel come in here, and you can see that he put in 525 people in his practice. I can also ask him how many of them are suffering from chronic migraines. And while I go through the presentation, anything that Daniel is putting in is put into the system here, and I can tailor make my conversation towards this. I'm also able to play a video, and when I do that, I can, when I start the video is controlled on the participant side, so they can actually see that. And at the same time, the participant is able to stop the video. They can control it, and the time that they spend on the video is actually recorded inside the system, so everything is tracked down to the very last detail. As I go through the presentation, I can add each slide to a deck. We call it a digital leave behind. So while I'm going through the presentation, I can ask the participant, do you want to know more about this? Do you want to study this on your own? And when I get to the last page, I'm able to send out an email which contains a link with the presentation. It can be tailor-made in any way you want to. So it could either be the slides we went through, it could be other slides. It's all up to the content. As long as it's built on our SDK called Accelerator, you're able to do these kind of things. And as soon as I press the preview and the send button, an email will go out, and Daniel will be able to continue his study on the topics. And whatever he does is also getting tracked and sent back to the system, and we can link it back to this call. So once I've done with going through the presentation, we've talked about whatever we need to talk about, I will say thank you very much to Daniel, and I will end the call. So when I do that, the participants are getting informed the call has been ended, and I am redirected back to my overview, and I can now see that my call is now ready for me to put in some more information. It's called post-call reporting options, and when I click on it, I can put in some valuable information on how this call went. These are all customizable as well. I can put in whatever I want to. We have free text fields. It could be whatever you want to put in. But let's just say that this went really good. Did they request any samples? Yes, they did. And how likely are they to prescribe? And I think, well, we're halfway there maybe. Now I'm ready. So now I'm going to save my call and I'm going to submit it, which means that that call has been done. All the data, all the tracking points, all the things that was done, if things were shared, what was shared, all that information is sent back to our backend system, where it can then be transferred via a CRM integration or any other integration to a BI tool, or we can look at it in the standard business reports that we have. So that concludes the demo, Mads. So if you want to take over.
I thought, Martin, there are a couple of questions. I thought it would be relevant for you to answer them right now because they're about the email. So one question from the audience is, so the HCP has to respond via email, or how would they get that other link to join? So basically, how do you get the link, the short link to them? If you could respond to that.
Yeah, so the short link is when they get the email. If they get the email, they don't have a very high spam filter or whatever it could be that blocks them from getting the email. You need to reach them in some other channel. That could be phone, WeChat, whatever it is, and then you need to copy it and send it to them via that channel. So they don't really need to. The short link is mainly meant for participants that don't get the link or the email, because in the email there's already a link they just need to click on. So the short URL is mainly meant for people that for some reason, it could be the wrong email, it could be a filter that stops them from getting that that link in the email.
Right. Thanks, Martin. I'm taking over the screen again. Do you see my slide here? Yeah, I believe you do. So this is just, I know that there may be some of the Bigtincan customers in the audience. So just very briefly, so Agnitio Live is a standalone solution. This is just an example of how it could appear in the Bigtincan hub, so a content management system of Bigtincan. We're not going to dive any deeper into that, but just to let you know about the various possibilities of applying it. But on Martin's point about data, so that's really one of the really true benefits of remote detailing. As Martin showed, there's data is being tracked throughout each engagement at a very detailed level, if required, if wanted. And here's an example of how some of our customers track the KPIs they've set and measure the effectiveness and essentially the impact of their efforts. So you can see, the engagements, what's the conversion from calls to engagement, what are the presentations that are trending or that are performing the best, and in order to drive some insights for the entire organization and other in the sales team. Here's another example of data that's handled and used directly in, it could be a BI system. This is an example of a CRM dashboard. As you can, the ones of you that are working in Salesforce.com, you may see the resemblance. So this is a dashboard from work done in Salesforce. But the data could be shared in any way possible, and the data points are really decided by how you as a customer want to track and measure how you progress and how you work with it. And with that was actually what we had for you in terms of details about the product. This is obviously a quick look into it, and a very, very first. If you're interested in diving deeper, we are more than happy to do so. Just wanted to see if there were anything else that. So if you do have any last-minute questions, do let us know. Other than that, let me just summarize that. So what we are presenting here today, Agnitio Live, is really our compliant, compelling remote detailing platform. That's a standalone browser-based solution that provides the personalization of video and the speed and simplicity of the cloud. This is, as I said, first off, if you want to dive any deeper, do let us know. When the session here today, when that ends, you will be prompted with a few questions, and in there you can also note if there is, if you're interested in knowing something more in specific, if you want to hear more case studies, or if you want to explore the opportunities and possible application in your company with us. And that's really it from our side. Dave, Martin, do you have anything to add? Otherwise, we are going to wrap it up on time.
Well, look, let me again just say thank you all for attending this session. And as you can see, just how dedicated we are to helping life sciences organizations adapt their businesses for this remote world. We know it's been a stressful time out there for both the sales teams and the HCPs, and we believe that technology like Agnitio Live is just designed from the ground up to make that experience as easy and as powerful as possible. And our commitment to you is that we are going to be continuing to enhance our technology suite and make sure that we can help your teams to be ready and empowered for this unusual situation that we're still in at the moment, and I think for the long-term future. So thanks again. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and I think we're just going to stay on for 2 minutes, Dave, because there's actually a bunch of questions, so we might as well take them. For those of you that want to stay on, let's just jump into it, and then we can wrap it up. So is the video transfer also available for mobile devices? Martin, do you want to take that? Just unmute yourself, please.
Yes, of course. I have to. Yeah, so video works on mobile devices and tablets. We have tested it on, well, many devices. It's mainly related to the version of either Android or iOS. For instance, it works on Android devices with an operating system higher than, I think it's called Honeycomb. But it actually works out of the box. You don't need to install anything. Just open the browser on your Android iPhone device, and it scales and fits and looks nice.
And that's really important when you are particularly doing an engagement across borders, where having to ask someone to install an app on their phone may be impossible. It may be just impossible due to regulatory and other challenges. And so this solution's been designed to have, pretty much zero friction. You click on a link, you get the video, you get the screen, that interactive content sharing that Martin talked about.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out any of the other questions. If we already engage your customers, so that's our Rainmaker platform. Do we have access to Agnitio Live? So that's really going to be up to that's going to be an individual discussion, so that we can arrange for it with the individual customers, because it just needs to be set up and organized. Can we receive the recording of the webinar? Yeah, that's gonna come. And then there's a question about the number of participants. So 25 is the maximum of participants. Can they all activate their camera at the same time? Is the question.
Yeah. So the 25 is all having video and audio at the same time. So the solution behind it would support a lot more people, but not with video and audio. So the limit is set to 25, because then everybody can have video and audio on at the same time.
All right. I think we will leave it at that. I know that there are a few more questions, and I think we can take them offline and individual. But yeah, thanks to everyone for joining in. It was great to have you here, and it was fantastic for us to be able to present our new solution. So very excited about that. Do reach out to David, Martin, or myself if you want to have a talk about how we can apply it or discuss your needs essentially. So thanks for now. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.